Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 23rd of May. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director of Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is a weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we're looking at Commonwealth Bank, Cogan, Santos, Soul Patts, Cube Logistics and Costa Group. So if you have a request, email it through to me. Make sure you've signed up to our free newsletter. Make sure you share this video on social media. And finally, any advice here is general only. So we're starting off with Commonwealth Bank. Obviously, all the banks have had a good bounce early this week. If we have a look at the last couple of years, what's become clear is that in terms of the downtrend that was in place for the last couple of years, we've now seen a break of that, which is a positive. However, if we have a look at this most recent downtrend, and get our Fibonacci tool out, you will notice that it's CBA stopped at the key 61.8% retracement level. So that will offer it some resistance. And the other thing is if we actually zoom out and look at a longer term chart, so if we look at the all-time high, that major peak, I'll just zoom in a bit more. So it's pretty clear that there's also some longer term resistance where CBA is. So that means we're most likely going to get some short term, a bit of a short term pullback in the shares. But I think if it can sort of turn around and get going again, we may well see a break of this. If so, that means we're talking about levels back above $80. Okay, with Cogan, I'll look at a daily chart. I was asked about this one back in April. We had a look at this one in our video right here. So we noticed the break of this downtrend, and as you can see, the shares have been on a bit of a tear, going from just over $4 to just over $6 in about a month and a bit. At the moment, we should expect a bit of resistance. What I'm looking at is, so we'll just zoom out a bit. Again, if we get our fib tool and mention the overall decline that we've seen over the last year, we're now at the 50% retracement, so that should offer some resistance. And the other thing is this most recent rally, as you can see, has been on decreasing volumes, so not much conviction there. So I'd expect short term for this to head back. But longer term it still looks decent, and I think if we see a bit of a turnaround, the next resistance level, I'd be looking at these peaks here, which is just above $7 and also represents a 61.8% retracement of last year's decline. Okay, moving on to Santos. So we could see here that it sort of rallied quite nicely in the first part of the year, got close to the 2018 high, and then was rejected from that. It's encouraging to see that it managed to bounce back just as quickly. If we have a look at a weekly chart, you could see that it's basically hanging around under that high, which is good. It needs to hold up here, and then if it can get ready to make a break. In terms of downside, I think this sort of 640 level is pretty key. I'll move back to a daily chart for you. So around this sort of 640, 650 level, I don't really want to see it fall under that. I think if it falls under that, it's a bit of a dangerous sign. But I think as long as it can hold up in this sort of top part of this year's range, then it'll prepare itself for a move higher later on. Okay, Soul Patts. So it's fallen quite a bit over the last couple of months. Seems like it's trying to recover. We've got a couple of higher lows and highs, but it's a very slow moving recovery. I think that if we move to a weekly chart, it starts to look a bit better. We can see more clearly the price rejection from these lower levels. So it looks like it's trying to find a low, but in my mind, I'd like to see this sort of key turning point get overcome. So I'd like to see it go above $24, and that would make me feel a bit more confident that it's going to recover. I have also seen some research value in the company closer to $17, so you just have to weigh that up as well. Cube, we'll start off with the daily chart. I'll zoom out. So this is last year's high. As we could see, it's basically rallied back up to that high. It's just hanging in under it. It's not getting sold off very sharply, so initially that's a good sign. But if you think about what the market's done in the last few weeks, this is clearly underperforming the market, so you've got that as a concern. And also if I move to a weekly chart, so we'll zoom in a bit. So in terms of the recent price action, so this low was back in March. So the rally since March, as we could see, has been on decreasing volumes. So again, not a very bullish sign. So in my opinion, I'd prefer to see a clear break above this trading range. Otherwise, I think at the moment it looks like it might drift back a bit more. And finally, Costa Group. So it looked interesting at the end of April where we had this sort of a break here of resistance, and it looked like it was going for a run. Then quite clearly, as soon as it got near this January high, it started to sell off. And unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, it's broken under this it's fallen back under this breakout zone here. So at the moment, it looks like we're probably going to see it continue to drift lower. Obviously, the market's going to be eyeing this January low, so we need to see how it behaves around here, and then that'll give us further clues as to whether it's going to be a buy or not. All right, well, that's it for this week. If you have a request, please send it through and I'll try to cover it next week for you.